Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow Room. Now, some of you asked me to change the gong, and so I did. We were using the one right behind me. See that one right there? And now we're using this sucker. This is, I think, the largest chow gong that I have. These are Wuhan gongs from China. And this is called a chow gong, a thing with like the bullseye in the middle. They are the iconic orchestral tam-tams, actually. I mean, it's best to call them tam-tams, at least in classical music circles. They're all gongs of a type, but the untuned, unpitched, sort of splashy kind is known as the tam-tam for orchestral purposes. So we'll use this one for a while, and then we'll pull out another of the 30 or 40 of them I have sitting around in the back there. Let's see. So what are we working on? Yes, we're working our way backwards through the alphabet. We're in the letter R, and we begin with William Russo's Street Music, a blues concerto for blues band and symphony orchestra. This is really rather cool with Seiji Ozawa and the San Francisco Symphony. These are classic recordings, actually. Russo wrote music that was then called the third stream or third wave of it was a sort of classical jazz atonal fusion thing. And these are really the only two iconic examples, I think, that have survived on disc, that people might know about. So here they are, along with Gershwin's American in Paris, which is, it's a nice peppy performance. Ozawa did it frequently. So it's on DG, the originals from Ozawa's early period in San Francisco. Very nifty. Then we have a big pile of stuff by Danish composer Poul, who was very fortunate to have quite a few labels working with him. Most of his music appeared on the Bridge label, Bridge Records, but he also had Da Capo, the Danish label, and some Bis stuff. And he's a good composer, serious composer, a very serious composer, but he wrote very interesting and creative music. This has, let's see, Poul Rutter's Fairy Tale, Piano Sonata No. 2, De Profundis, and the Concerto in Pieces, which is really fascinating. It's based, I believe, it's the one that's based on the Witches chorus from Purcell's Dido and Aeneas. It's really, really cool. So here are those things on Bridge. And then we've got this Chandos disc that has gong. How could you not love something called gong? Really, gong. The opening is marked throbbing. Yeah, you go, boy. Tundra, and let's see, Solidas say Johannes, thus saw St. John, marked ghoulish. How can you not love this stuff? And then his symphony, Himmel hoch jauchzen zum Tode betrübt. Well, it's sort of Bach-y kind of, influence. With the Danish National Radio, a symphony under Leif Segerstam. So that's fun. And then his Solar Trilogy. Gong is one of his Solar Trilogy, by the way. Gong, Zenith, and Corona. These are marked sizzling, piercing, majestic, dawning, pounding, blinding, pulsating, dancing. Oh, yes, with the Odense Symphony Orchestra under Michael Schoenwald on Da Capo. And let's see, we got this Bis thing here. 4 dances in one movement for chamber ensemble, and Dramaphonia for piano solo and chamber ensemble, which is number 1 of the Drama Trilogy, and Corpus Cum Figuris for chamber orchestra, like so many contemporary composers. This is with the Aarhus Sinfonietta under Søren Kinch-Hansen. They come up with the titles, and as often as not, the titles are vastly more interesting than the actual music, which they theoretically describe. But that's not true with Rutter's. Rutter's titles, generally speaking, the music usually lives up to the title. And it doesn't sound like he spent more work calling it something than he does in the act of actually writing the music, which is quite often the case with contemporary composers. Then we've got Jan Wagner with the Odense Symphony Orchestra, and David Starobin guitar, and Metje Eising contralto, and Mikola Fukachova cello. In the Paganini Variations, we know the Paganini tune, Guitar Concerto No. 2, The City in the Sea, and a poem by Edgar Allan Poe, and Anima, Cello Concerto No. 2. Lots of fun, really fun. The Guitar Concerto No. 1 for guitar and 9 instruments, Psalmodies. These were written for David Starobin, who plays them magnificently, of course. The Etude and Richard Carr for solo guitar, and the Chaconne for solo guitar, and then the Paganini Variations again. They recoupled it for this performance. Lots and lots and lots of fun, good stuff, and some wonderful contemporary guitar music, of which, there seems to be quite a bit. There's a lot of really good contemporary music written for the classical guitar, finally. And then, last but certainly not least, by Ruders, his opera, The Handmaid's Tale. This is brilliant. I had the great honor to be invited to Copenhagen for a performance of this. I don't think it was the premiere. Maybe it was the premiere. I don't remember. But it's a wonderful work. Absolutely wonderful work. The libretto was done, I think it was done in English. I think it was. I'm trying to remember the whole thing. All I remember is that the king or the queen or the something royal was there, and we all had to stand up, which just sort of drives me crazy. It's a very effective, stage-worthy, and exciting opera. I hope it's still in print. I really hope that Da Capo got a subsidy somewhere or something. There are a lot of operas written on modern novels or modern sources, and Margaret Atwood's book is just fantastic. The stories are great. And this is one of the better operatic adaptations I've heard. It really is. It's not like that horrible Brokeback opera. Yes, Brokeback Mountain opera, which led to a Brokeback opera by Charles Warren, which is grotesquely awful. This is really good. Really, really, really good. So that's Poul Ruders. And last but not least for this clump, Anton Rubenstein. Just a few goodies of his. I'm very selective with Rubinstein. He was a patchy composer. He's very prolific. He wrote tons and tons of music, and in a rather quasi-Lisztian but more conservative style. And some of it's marvelous, and a lot of his piano music is tons of fun. But this is some of the better stuff. We have Charvenka and Rubinstein piano concertos, the fourth, which is the most famous one, with Marc-André Ameland and the BBC Scottish Symphony under Michael Stern. What is Not to Love on Hyperion. It's just terrific. And this is a lovely disc of chamber works. His Octet Opus 9, an early work for flute, clarinet, horn, violin, viola, cello, contrabass, and piano. And his quintet for flute, clarinet, horn, bassoon, and piano with the Consortium Classicum on Orfeo. Charming and attractive works both. And this strange disc on the Attacca label. Attacca. I don't even know if this still exists. It's a co-production with Cristofori. So what, right? It's Marius von Passen piano, his Sonata Opus 100 from 1877, the Prelude Opus 24, and the reason I got the disc, the Variations Opus 93, 23 minutes and 30 seconds of variations on Yankee Doodle. Now, how many people know Rubinstein's Yankee Doodle variations? I don't know. I don't know what other recordings may have come out since, but I love this thing. And that's why I got the disc. That's why I got that disc, which I will keep forever. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me down here in the Overflow Room. Let your musical cup runneth over. Take care.